What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams, and this is going to be a 12-rounder in the middleweight division, and this fight is going to be Saturday, February 5th, from the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff, Wales, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on Sky Sports, and to get into both fighters' resumes, Chris Eubank Jr., fighting out of England, holds a record of 31 wins, 2 defeats, with 23 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently oddly ranked number 1 by BoxRec in the middleweight division. Also, he is the two-time former WBA interim middleweight champion, as well as the former IBO super-middleweight champion. And now to list both of his defeats, he has a split decision loss to Billy Joe Saunders and a unanimous decision loss in the World Boxing Super Series semifinal to George Groves. And to list some of his best victories, he has a knockout win over Dmitry Chudinov, a unanimous decision victory over Arthur Abraham, a knockout win over Avni Yildirim in the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinal. He also has a unanimous decision win over James DeGale, and a knockout win over Matt Korobov, although it was an injury to Matt Korobov's shoulder, which did end the bout. And to get his opponent's resume, Liam Williams, fighting out of Wales, holds a record of 23 wins, 3 defeats, and 1 draw, with 18 big wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 8 by BoxRec in the middleweight division. He is the former WBO interim super welterweight world title challenger, as well as the former WBO middleweight world title challenger. And to list all 3 of his defeats, he has a knockout loss to Liam Smith, I should say. And their first fight, it was a knockout due to cuts. The fight was ended because Williams did have multiple lacerations around his eye, but then in their rematch, it was a very controversial majority decision defeat, which Williams did take to Smith. And in his third loss, it came by clear unanimous decision against Demetrius Andrade, and Andrade just outworked Williams, in my opinion, but he did put up a good effort. And to list some of Williams' best victories, he has a knockout win over Alantez Fox, and a knockout victory over Mark Efron. And in my opinion, this fight is a very fun all-UK battle between 2 top 10 middleweights, but I do think that Chris Eubank Jr. will come out on top in this one. I just think that Chris Eubank Jr. is the much more faster, more fluid fighter. Although Liam Williams has shown that he has a lot of grit in him and that he has a lot of dog in him as well, because he could just fight and just continue fighting. And he goes true to his name. I mean, they call him the gorilla, and he just comes forward, doesn't really care, throws punches, doesn't care if he gets hit back. I mean, he's just really a grueling athlete. And but for Chris Eubank Jr., I mean, he was really known early on in his career as like a real fast punching, power punching, like coming forward fighter. But since going with Roy Jones Jr., he's really started to box a bit more, have a different stance, have a better jab, which is much more fast, the way he flicks it out. And he's definitely gotten a bit better with his sort of technicality in the game, as opposed to what he would do before while he would just come forward with throwing like 4 punch hook combinations, trying to knock his opponents out. But still, I mean, he's still a top middleweight contender. Same with Liam Williams. Both of these guys have fought in different weight classes. They have had some good success there. Williams fought at 154, now 160, and Eubank fluctuated between 60 and 68, having some success there, picking up the IBO title, as I mentioned before, and going far in the World Boxing Super Series. But now, this fight is at 160 pounds, and it's a very interesting and good fight. And, I mean, the thing is, Chris Eubank did put a rematch clause on this fight if he does lose, and it's just surprising because he was talking so much about how he's going to easily win this fight. But, I mean, this is a fight where either man could win, in my opinion. Williams, he could win with his grueling pressure fighting style. Eubank nowadays he could fight many ways. He could fight part of the fight boxing a bit more, coming forward, I guess you could say, with the jab, landing some nice fast combinations. He also has a lot of power as well. And the winner of this fight could go very far and could possibly get another world title shot, as both of these guys have been tested in the top of this weight class before, and this is just a battle between 2 top guys. And I mean, I hope it's a good fight, and I think it's really going to be a nice one. And as mentioned before, the winner should get a lot of opportunities. And comment down below your thoughts on this fight, who you think is going to win, and what you think is next for the winner, because I mean I would imagine many opportunities considering both are ranked in most, if not all, of the main sanctioning bodies, the WBO, WBA, WBC, and IBF. So how I see this fight going down, I believe that Chris Eubank Jr. Will come forward a bit early on. I think that he'll have a good amount of success, just like Demetrius Andrade did, very fast coming out the door with the jab in the beginning of the fight, throwing fast combinations to the body, to the head, and I do not think that Liam Williams will be sort of aware of all of those shots that Chris Eubank is landing early on in the fight, like let's say the first half. But then as the second half draws on, I think that Eubank will get a bit more tired. Although he does have an excellent gas tank, I don't really think he'll get tired. He'll just get more worked in throughout this fight, and I think that Liam Williams will sort of have a second wind and start to land a lot more of his shots and start to do better as the fight goes on. But who knows? I mean, since Chris Eubank has a great gas tank, he could actually start doing really good later on, and it really could be Williams having a lot of success. But I would edge it towards Williams coming on a bit later on and winning a good amount of rounds in the middle to later rounds. But I do still think that Chris Eubank Jr. will prevail and will win a majority of the rounds to ultimately get a unanimous decision victory. I do think it will be a close unanimous decision, but I still think that Chris Eubank Jr. will ultimately have more rounds in the books. And when I say that Williams will do better in the middle to later parts of the fight, I don't really mean that he's going to win all those rounds. I think he'll win maybe 4, maybe 5 of them in total. Not really that many, but still, like, I don't really think he's going to win enough rounds to win, but he'll win enough rounds to get a close, unanimous decision defeat, which is still not really anything in his favor, but it is still a very nice win for Chris Eubank Jr., and I think that Eubank Jr. once again will start flicking at that jab, and I really think that it will be a big key to Eubank Jr. winning this fight. He'll throw fast combinations to the body, to the head. He'll both counterpunch, he'll both come forward, and as for Liam Williams, his game will primarily be to try to wear down Eubank Jr. as the fight goes on, throwing big power shots to the body, to the head, etc. But I ultimately think that Chris Eubank's style, with his stamina, will ultimately prevail, and he will win this fight by a clear but close unanimous decision. And so overall, I believe that Chris Eubank Jr. will get one of the better victories of his career thus far, defeating Liam Williams by unanimous decision. And I think that the judges will score this bout 116 to 112 twice, and one judge will have it a little bit closer at 115 to 113. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.